Welcome to another edition of Respond to Resilience. I'm David Dashinger, and I'm very thrilled to be speaking today with Chief Syd Henry of the Elmsford Fire Department. Let's dive into the subject of this amazing Lieutenant Andy Fredericks seminar. I've attended myself many times, and I'm always impressed with the way it's run, the quality of the speakers, the way the day offers vendors, exhibitors, and also a very informative lecture. So I'm curious, how did you meet Andy Fredericks?
Wow. I met Andy prior to the internet actually being in existence. I read an article of his in Fire Engineering, and we had just experienced a wind-driven fire in Tarrytown, a high-rise building near the railroad station that faced the Hudson River. The fire department faced the Hudson River. So the hallway became supercharged with fire. It incinerated one of the ninth floor occupants that was trying to exit the floor. It pinned the attack team down in the stairwell. They stretched the 2.5, charged that. They still couldn't make that hallway. The fire eventually burned itself out. It was a fireproof building. But so I wrote Andy a letter and sent it to Squad 18. Including my phone number. I didn't even have a cell phone then, my house phone number. And he called me, and I was shocked. Back then, I was intimidated by FDNY. They're the Yankees to me. So anyhow, long story short, he called. He couldn't have been more gracious. There was no sense of belittling volunteers. In fact, he had been a volunteer. He told me he was too busy with his speaking and with the job, so he couldn't continue it. But he treated me like an absolute peer. I didn't feel as though he looked down upon me at all. I'll try to keep my composure, but I get emotional every time I talk about him. He really wanted to know. He wanted to learn from our experience, and he really appreciated it. And then from then on, we stayed in fairly regular contact, not daily or anything like that. In fact, the last time I spoke with him, we were thinking of going from leather helmets to composite helmets. And that's the last time I'd spoken to him. It was the summer of 2001.
Was he a speaker at the seminar?
Well, then, yeah, I contacted him again. I said, we're thinking about doing some kind of a seminar for our battalion. Little did I know that it would grow much larger than the battalion. And I said, and I would like you to be our first speaker, which he was. And he was a tremendous help in organizing it. He said, he brought up things that we never thought of because we'd never run one before. He said, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And, just an absolute gentleman.
Right. And one of the things about him is he was a renowned instructor. One of my friends who went through the academy had him as an instructor and just could never say enough good things about him.
Without a doubt.
So you kind of talked about how the seminar began. So what was the evolution of it? Because you've had some incredible speakers over the last 20 years. So how did it grow from that first version into what it is today?
Well, it was just so successful. As I said, it went far beyond our battalion. Our battalion is roughly 6 departments in the town of Greenburgh, and the response was terrific. We pretty much filled the hall at our local high school, which we quickly outgrew. I think we were only there 2 or 3 years, and we had to go to the Marriott because we didn't have enough room in the high school. Andy's presentation was so successful, we said, well, let's make this a regular thing. And for the first, I don't even know a number, but for the first number of seminars, I did FDNY speakers, and I got some very constructive feedback from some people in Westchester that I really respect. And they said, FDNY guys are great, but I think you should mix it up a little bit. So that's when I started going outside of the state to people like John Mittendorf from LA, Bill Gustin from Miami-Dade, Mike Gagliano from Seattle, Jim Smith from Philadelphia, Billy Goldfeder, who needs no introduction. And that really attracted a lot more attention and a lot greater attendance. And it was a good suggestion. And I still mix FDNY in too.
You know, it's amazing for firefighters who read Fire Engineering, Firehouse Magazine, to look at your flyer and see that an author that they've read many articles by is going to be speaking locally in Westchester County. So
absolutely,
it's a huge draw.
John Mittendorf up at the airport. This is where this quote came from. We were driving back from LaGuardia Airport, and he said, "Wow," he said, "you really have the who's who of firefighting speakers of the whole country." I said, "Yeah, I guess we do," and I had never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it's an impressive roster. How far do people travel to get to the seminar?
Well, we have a former chief, Richie Constantino, who runs a terrific operation down in Virginia, and he always brings a contingent with him. And definitely New Jersey, Connecticut. It's grown. A lot of it's grown by word of mouth. A lot of it's grown by people accessing our website. Obviously, we had to postpone the 2020 seminar because of COVID, but we're hopeful that we can bounce back this coming February. The seminar is always the first Saturday in February.
And we'll put up on the screen the flyer for this upcoming seminar, so folks can see where it is, when it is, and it's amazingly reasonable fee to get into the seminar, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We've held the price at $35 per for quite some time, and we have no plans of increasing it. And
this event, the Andy Fredericks Memorial Seminar, also donates to some charities. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it does. It donates to 4 charities. Normally, we're able to donate at least $2,000 from the gate to Andy's scholarship fund, the Tyler Rush scholarship fund. He was an engine company lieutenant who, in our house, that was killed in a motorcycle accident. They established a scholarship fund in his name. His father was a recently retired career chief in Hartsdale and former chief of our department. The Bob Schnibbe scholarship fund, he was our battalion coordinator, and he died of a cardiac arrest at the command post at a working fire in Irvington several years ago. And then the last one is the New York State Firefighters Home in Hudson, New York. So we typically donate $8,000, $2,000 to each charity.
That's wonderful. Speaking of charities, every time I've gone to the seminar in the exhibitor hall, which is got some great exhibits and great vendors in there, there's always a table from Squad 18 from FDNY, and I always go home with a t-shirt or a hat or shorts. Can you tell us a little bit about the story behind Squad 18's booth?
Well, when we decided to dedicate the seminar in Andy's name, we first touched base with his widow to make sure it was okay. We did that through Diane Rothschild of Fire Engineering. She had the contact with her, and she coordinated that. She did a terrific job. And then we also included Squad 18, who at the time had members that actually had worked with Andy. Now I don't think there's anyone there that really even knew him, but they continue the tradition. So much so that very high-ranking chief now, John Esposito, I think he's an assistant chief of FDNY, was a lieutenant in Squad 18 on 9/11, and he comes and sells t-shirts. So he's one of these chiefs that did not forget where he came from. He's another great guy.
Who are some of the other vendors that you typically get at the event?
Well, we have our typical radio vendors and fire equipment vendors. We also have a booth for an organization called Partners in Safety that do the annual firefighter medical testing in this area. It's a whole variety. Con Edison comes.
How does it feel to see what this seminar has evolved into?
Oh, it's heartwarming. You know, sometimes I need to step back and just look, because I become immersed, especially that couple of weeks before and the day of. And I have to really step back and really look at what it's become and what a tribute it is to Andy.
Wow, what a tribute.
Yeah, oh my God, yes.
I wish you continued success with this event. It just keeps getting better and better.
It does, it really does.
I would encourage anybody and everyone who is in the vicinity of Westchester County, if you can make it to the Lieutenant Andy Fredericks Memorial Seminar and Exhibits. Well, Chief, you are truly a man of service, and I deeply appreciate your contributions to the fire service in many dimensions, and in particular the Lieutenant Andy Fredericks Memorial Seminar. So I wish you all success moving forward, and I want to thank you for being here with us on Respond to Resilience.
David, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about it and to talk about Andy.